What's up, guys? How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, we're well. Hopefully, you're doing good. We got a little bit of hope. We have opportunity. Not a lot of options, but I did wake up this morning to the two books that I use in Australia, Sportsbet and Bet365, opening up some props and some lesser known fights. If you look closely wherever you are in the world looking at your books, there are actually a lot of fights, just not a lot of names that you'll recognize. So before we get started, I want to say thank you for all the supports. We're a growing community. The link that's pinned there, join our professional betting Discord. It's not just boxing, it's all pro sports. It's a couple bucks a month. You can support me on YouTube by clicking the link, or Patreon, whichever one you choose. You get access to the Discord. You also get all of my bet slips. And on that note, all the JSB insiders, check your members only section on YouTube and check Patreon, because you should have one. This is for this weekend's fights. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 tickets that are live. So that in itself, there's actually a 6th one, but I haven't posted it yet. There's actually 7. You have 5 live, but I'll post the 2 in the next coming hours. We're going to go over the action that we're going to find. Cue the Denzel Washington meme. So if you're not following me on Instagram, you could do that. I'll follow you back. Just type in my name, Johnny Stofko. I use my Instagram stories as kind of a 24/7 live feed of what's going on in boxing. Post a lot of memes. And the Denzel, what this weekend reminds me of for our team is that Denzel Washington meme when he's getting interviewed and he's telling the story. He says, I'm leaving here with something. That's exactly us. We're leaving. The JSB insiders, if there's a fight week, we don't need pay-per-views in Vegas. We don't need the MGM Grand. All we need is an opportunity and some film tape so we could see who we're betting on. And then from there, we're going to find our wins. And that's exactly what we're going to do this weekend. The UFC has the bigger event because it's the return of Conor McGregor. He's fighting Max Holloway for the 2nd time. And there are 3 tickets. I've given you a underdog prop. I've given you a UFC double. I think there might be one more. So check your tickets. We're going to get into this. I'll stay on. I'm going to stay on for at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half, because we have a lot to get into. The fights in Australia go down tomorrow night. If you're in Oz, I think they're streaming it on Stan Sports. If you don't have Stan Sports, we'll be streaming it in the Discord. And I wasn't that excited because I wasn't getting action on it. But shout out to Youngin. Youngin's a JSB insider. He said that Sportsbet has offered a knockout props on the Max McIntyre fight, so we'll get into that. And there's a double that we could pair that to make plus money. So on that note, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to say what's up to the boys, and then we're going to get into it. Youngin, speak in that show. Yeah, what's up? Let's go. So yeah, shout out to Youngin, Moonshot, my guy right here. JSB in the Weeds edition. Yeah, that's it. I used to work in nightclubs. That's a good it's a good phrase. I'm in the weed. Hey, we're gonna find it. We're gonna get ours. Let's go. Let's like the video. The boys are here checking in. Big Shadow checking in. You think Patty can win? I'm a casual. It's a good fight. It's a tough fight. I rate Patty. I've watched Patty's career since he was at Cage Warriors. It's shocking to me that Patty's older than Benoit Saint Denis, which is crazy. Saint Denis is a guy who he makes his money by getting into these really physical back and forth assaults. You know what I mean? He's at his best when it's a bloodbath. He takes a lot of damage, and Patty's one of these guys who is the much more skilled grappler and wrestler. So Patty is big for the division. It's well documented how much weight he cuts to make that weight. He blows up out of fight camp. I've heard recently he doesn't get as big as he used to get. He's getting a little older now. He's 31. Patty will stand with you, though. Like, he will stand and trade. He's a bit wild. The advantage on the feet goes to Denis. I think in a perfect world, Patty will exchange with Denis and then shoot the blast double and take him to his world. So I do like Patty Pimlet on the money line. I have a double. I think we got him at, he might be a dog I think I put Patty Pimlet as an underdog on a double. So we'll get into that as well. But I am taking Pimlet there. How are we feeling about Rob Whittaker moving up to light heavy? Look, I'm friends with Rob Whittaker. I know Rob Whittaker. I first met Rob in 2015 doing my first podcast. So over the last 10, 12 years in Australia, I've hosted and run a couple different podcasts. In 2015, I used to co-host one called the Vision Board Podcast with a co-host of mine. And then I started one in 2018 on my own called Ungoogleable, The Success Secrets of Modern Day Giants. Now, if you're familiar with Sydney, I met Rob when he just got done fighting. He had just got out he was a couple fights out of the Ultimate Fighter house, and he had just moved up from 170 to 185. A couple fights prior, I think he lost to Wonder Boy Thompson at 170. And then he moved up to 185. He just had his first son, Jack. He was living in a little small one-bedroom apartment in, I think it's called Green Acre, far west Sydney. And I interviewed him in the kitchen. So I say all that, and I watched him grow and become the world champion, a UFC legend. And so I don't bet on Rob Whittaker. So I'm cheering for him. I hope he wins. He's a big boy. I do remember, I'm 5'11". I walk around about 185 pounds. I do remember when I met him being shocked with how big he was in real life. I was like, damn. And he was only like 22 at the time. I was like, damn, he's way bigger than I thought. And there's a photo, there's some clips on my Instagram if you search them and photos. I just remember like, damn, dude, this dude's big, crazy. I can't believe he ever made 170. So that being as well, I'm not betting on him. I want to watch that fight as a friend. Morning, boys. Let's have a good week. We're already having a good week, man. I really appreciate the positivity. I think another one of our separating factors in our Discord is that we have great moderators. We have great leadership in the Discord, whether you're in the MMA chat, the soccer chat, the boxing chat. We really do a good job of keeping business at hand. We like to have fun in there, but positivity is a big element of betting. And I'm not sounding woo-woo. I'm not getting spiritual with this, but having a positive mindset really affects our cognition in our decision making. A negative mindset would be like, I never win. I need to win. I lose all the time. And then you're looking at odds and you're not watching film study. You're not doing the work. You're not seeing what a positive eye would see. You're picking bets based off of odds. So I think being positive in the betting landscape is very important. I don't know if people talk about this much. It's kind of like it's just happened organically in our Discord. So we're having a good week, youngin. Masuro versus Brown. What do you think? I think Brown has a chance. I don't know, man. I don't think Jermaine has a chance. I like Masuro. I do have a triple already. I haven't posted it live. The two books I use in Australia are Sportsbet and Bet365. And I'll bring the odds up once I get caught up on the chat. Bet365 has this fight. So I'm taking Masuro on the money line on a triple that pays plus money with a couple other fights. I didn't like Jermaine Brown's tape. I think Masuro is the A side with the odds. It's a good parlay piece. We love them little plus monies. That's what we got to find, boys. That's what we got to find. We got to find plus monies. What about the King Green fight? Your predictions on that? So the predictions on King Green, he's fighting Terrence McKinney. There's a couple props that are, we spoke about it yesterday on the live stream. In boxing, we have a couple props. There's a couple sort of patterns in boxing betting that the boys will know. We talked about the top rank A side. A Gabby Fundora knockout prop is always a fun prop. Right now, a Moses Ituama knockout prop is always a fun prop to where you know that you could either go heavy on it or build around it. Terrence McKinney never leaves the first round. So this is a guy, he's either getting first round knockouts or he's getting stopped in the first round. So if you're torn on who you want to go with, I would look at your book and say, will the fight start the second round? I'd say no. I'd go, if you're a McKinney guy, I'd go first round knockout. Obviously, that's kind of how he operates. Look at his history. Look at his record. Look, craziest stat is Terrence McKinney, I think, has had 9 first-round knockouts in his UFC career, and he's received 0 fight bonuses. And that's crazy because the UFC prides themselves on matchmaking and parity. And I heard the reason for this was because he doesn't knock anyone out. But it's like he knocks everybody out who they put in front of him. This will be, when he stepped up, we've seen him get starched before. This guy's actually could grapple. He could wrestle. He's a Pacific Northwest kid. This is where he cut his teeth. And that's a wrestling heavy regional part of the United States, like the Washington area, Oregon area. You get a lot of guys who cut their teeth in the amateur Division 1, Division 2 collegiate wrestling scene up there. So McKinney comes from that cloth, but in his DNA, he's just a striker. He wants to get you out of there quick. He's not there for a long time. He's there for a good time. So I'd go props. I do think McKinney should get King Green out of there. Green is a long in the tooth now. The thing is, I'm not betting on this fight. I'm going to be honest with you. Every time I bet against King Green, he wins, especially in the last few years. I was on King Green when he was younger, when he was coming up. Before, I forget what the big fight was, maybe 5 years ago, when Bobby was an underdog. It was right before he went on the Joe Rogan podcast. And, I was a Bobby Green fan before he was in the UFC. I've been watching him for a long time. And so when he finally got his break and, everybody, were happy for him. And then he started getting paired tough. And then the odds makers started catching on to, like, we'd always catch him as a dog. And he was always a dog I would play. And then when, he started growing and he broke through to the mainstream and really started, developing as a star, the odds got a bit difficult. Then I would, you'd bet against him and then he'd win. And then you'd bet on him and then he'd lose. So for me, it's a no bet. I would bet a knockout prop. The fight to start the second round, no. I'd go under 2 rounds, that sort of stuff. We're finding value in regional fights from Bohol, Philippines to top-tier cards in Essex, UK. The names aren't flashy, but I love quiet weeks like this. In Barry Unboxing, what he's talking about is this shows a real knowledge of the game from our group. He's referencing our Discord. He's referencing the work he puts in. Follow him on Twitter or X. Does great breakdowns. And this is what I'm talking about, man. The quiet week, what I've found in the last 3 months, whenever we have, I forget the last time, maybe it was like a month ago, we had like a massive pay-per-view card here, and we had a massive sort of like exciting, flashy Golden Boy card here, and there's a couple big title fights. It can be overwhelming as a bettor with film study, and sometimes you don't get it right, and it's a bit deflating. From a winning perspective, these are the weeks that we can win. These are the weeks we generally win a lot on. Because it's like finding the diamond in the rough. There's not too much action, so you're pretty switched on with your boundaries of what to bet, when to bet, not over betting and not chasing. So I totally agree. Morning, Johnny. Hope you're well. You're planning to do UFC live today at all? The UFC live, when I said Thursday, I was adhering to our American crowd. I'm going to do the UFC live stream tomorrow, which is my Friday. My last client is probably like 1:15 p.m. in Sydney, which will be Thursday night in America. That'll be the UFC one. So you could jump on tomorrow, and it'll be good to hear your voice. To get your ideas and your expertise on stuff. I love it when dude. If any of you guys want to jump on now, jump on. It's always good when it goes from a screen name, reading your breakdowns and your research, to seeing a face and hearing a voice. It just adds another level of expertise, if you ask me. Fight Fan 301, appreciate everything. Appreciate the support, man. Like, we're not here doing this. We're not growing. We're not winning if it wasn't a community, if it wasn't a team effort. I don't do this for myself. I do this to create a community. I do this to learn. I do this to educate. And to, obviously, we've created a small space on YouTube boxing of like-minded, non-casual fight fans. That's the best part. And, we're approaching our 1-year birthday, August. So it's exciting. Terrence McKinney has some slick submission skills as well. Sub is definitely live. Don't count Green out, though. He has some momentum. Of course. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you know the UFC game, it's these guys were friends. At one time, I think McKinney went on record, said he wouldn't fight Green. It's the fight game. Terrence McKinney doesn't have the highest of fight IQs. Bobby Green is a real veteran. I expect him to go in there with a good game plan. And I'm gonna watch the King Green McKinney fight. I'm gonna watch all of them. I'm gonna be streaming all of them. Who knows? By fight night, sometimes with UFC betting, and this isn't supposed to sound we get a lot of superstitions in our space. Obviously, it's betting. There's guys in our group who do like voodoo on fighters. Like, so I get it. This next statement isn't supposed to sound like that. But sometimes when you're watching a UFC card and you're watching the prelims, the card will have a sense of energy about it. And so sometimes I don't like betting until I'm watching the card to see what the vibe of the crowd is, what the card is like, how the judging is gone. Are there a lot of knockouts? Are these fights going to the decision? And you kind of could use that as well. I'm not going to say I'm not betting this. I'm going to wait until the card actually starts till fight night to see if I'm going to lay action on it. Because the Terrence McKinney first round knockout is always a fun prop to play. I'm just not willing to commit yet Thursday, July 9th at 11:30 a.m. We have boxing. My mind right now is let's get this win tomorrow in Australia. Max McIntyre, I'll pull those odds up in a second. I hedged the Bobby versus McKinney fight, round 1, sub round 2. Nice, Big Shadow. Okay, let's see what this looks like real quick. This is the odds. This is boxing. Retro. I've cooked some great moonshots. Hey, pray. Let's go. Dude, whatever we could do to get this dub, let's go. You got to share it in the Discord, Retro. I'm cooking a moonshot up. Youngin, I know you'll share it in the Discord. I hope I jump on with you sometime soon, sucker. We're driving the truck these days. Make that money. Be safe, man. Make that money. Be safe. We'll link up at the fights, though. I know Youngin's going to the Zeus Spence fight. I'm going to the Zeus Spence fight. If anybody in the chat is going to the Zeus Spence fight, let me know. We'll link up. I'll buy you a beer. Any other Aussies keen to get action on the money lines come out? Bro, Xavier Fletcher cooked us. Xavier Fletcher, for me, is a no bet. If you look, Jesus Christ, he cooked us. He was a 4-1 favorite and got the brakes beat off of him in his last fight. So I'm not betting on Xavier Fletcher. He looks the part. I mean, Xavier Fletcher is one of these guys who, he ticks all the boxes. He comes out with a rapper. He has the hip hop scene making his walkout, his gear. He looks the part. He looks like he could be a model. He dates like an influencer. But his boxing, he should have never been a 4-1 favorite. Like there's no way I'm betting on this kid again. He burned our. There's 2 guys on this card. I gotta make my head big when I say there's 2 guys on this card that burned us last card. Xavier Fletcher's one of them, and Terrell. Terrell's fighting on this card. Not betting on him. Xavier Fletcher's fighting on this card, and I don't care if they're feeder fights. I don't care if they're coming off losses or they're coming off a draw, and they're supposed to win. That's beyond the point for me. Xavier Fletcher he was a 4-1 favorite, and he fought like he never fought before. And Terrell was a 7-1 favorite and got the brakes beat off of him. So just keep that in mind. This is Xavier Fletcher. If you remember him, 6-1-1. God damn. 26 years old. He fought Sabanda to a draw. Like, look at this kid. He lost a split decision to a guy named Molinaro. I don't see how he keeps going in as the favorite, as the betting favorite. He's not good. I don't want to. He's only 26. I have to bite my tongue sometimes because I always, it's from what we do, from a betting perspective, I think it's important as bettors to always be able to compartmentalize the bet and the athlete. So, I would be a hypocrite if I bashed any fighter because I lost a bet because they lost. That's something that I feel in the betting community needs to change. I've noticed it's a lot worse in the MMA community. The MMA community is filled with much more casuals because they're fans of fighters. In MMA, you get fans of fighters who kind of adopt the fighter's personality. You know what I mean? We saw that with Conor. You see that with MMA. And it's a newer sport, and I think it's a lot younger of a crowd. So when they're betting their money on a fighter and the fighter loses, this is why there's so many more MMA meme pages, and you have MMA commentators who have massive followings who talk shit about fighters. You don't see that a lot with boxing. You do see boxing casual channels, who they'll only cheer for this type of fighter or they'll only promote this type of fighter. They don't really know the sport overall. So from my perspective, because, I I have such a revelry for boxing, I had to catch myself. Xavier Fletcher did lose a bet. He didn't look good. I don't think he should be a favorite in any of his fights from what I've seen in his career. So I'm not betting on him. Berlanga versus Butler. We've seen Butler hurt and stopped at 160. I know Edgar's coming off a brutal knockout, but bro, if Ed can't beat Butler, we all need to reevaluate some things. We have loyalty in boxing betting. So Stephen Butler, I shared this ticket. I shared the receipts in our Discord maybe a week ago. Over the last 18 months, Stephen Butler has won me a couple $1,000s on knockout props of him winning, right? So I do have a sort of every time Butler fights, especially the Eye of the Tiger promotions, every time Stephen Butler fights, we hunt Stephen Butler by knockout. It's how he fights, and it's how the matchmaking has been going with him fighting for here it is. So with him fighting with Eye of the Tiger. So when Butler fought Macias, we got him at plus 180 for the knockout. When Butler fought Hisseni, we got him at plus 110. When Butler fought Fonjo. So, like, I'm a notorious Stephen Butler by knockout better. Edgar Berlanga. What Butler is going to stand flat-footed and punch with you and hope that he's going to be the more durable guy with the bigger hands. Edgar Berlanga has more skills, faster. I'd like to think he's more powerful. If Edgar Berlanga can't beat Stephen Butler, but it's like, I agree with your sentiment here. He should be too big, too strong. Edgar Berlanga has decent skills too, man. Decent footwork. He has good hand speed. So, people are going to be betting on Big Bang Butler, though. I'd love to join the Discord, follow their bets. Well, the Discord isn't about betting, which is crazy. The Discord is you should pop in there for a month, man. It's $5 so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's see real quick. Damn, I feel bad for me going on that rant against Xavier Fletcher, a 26-year-old kid. But if you watch Fletcher, if you watch the Hyper Arm, you would think this kid was like, you know what? You would think he was the British kid, Ben Whitaker. Yeah, that's it. I guess I like that, the blacklist. Nobody done me worse than that little. Oh. See, the JSB insiders, we do not forget. We forgive, but we never. And bro, that happened on the same card. That Terrell Adams that was the same card. And I still haven't gotten over. I'm not going to judge him. Terrell's only 20 years old. Xavier's 26. Terrell, bad matchmaking. I actually blame that on his camp. I blame that on his handlers. They threw him in there with a freaking legit ass hungry, I think, Filipino who just beat the dog breaks off of him. Fletcher, on the other hand, for me, because he fought a good 5th and 6th round, Fletcher's shortcomings for me was like arrogance. And then how he spoke afterwards, at least with Terrell, it was like, wow, this is a perfect example why matchmaking is important. His handlers must have just been totally radicalized by the idea that Terrell was the next Anthony Mundine. You know what I'm saying? Because that was the rumor. I remember I played you guys audio. I played you guys audio tape of one of his guys in his camp. They had us convinced, and I took that loss on the chin because I shared it and I was like, this guy's the next. And I watched his tape. He looked good in the gym. I've seen him hit pads before, but you never know. Like matchmaking is a real thing, especially as you climb. Ever. I feel you. I believe the African guy that had a draw with Xavier is fighting as well, if not mistaken. Yeah, right now, BoxRec is giving us 2 fights. Desley, look, I have a soft spot in my heart for Desley Robinson because it was only June, May 31st, when I hit the 490 to 1 parlay. It was Desley Robinson who brought it home for me. I needed Desley on points, and she got it. And that was the biggest win I've ever had in my life. Tim Tebow should win this. Tam's the one that but Desley's big, durable. Tam should win this. What's up, SS? How you doing, playa? Saul Sanchez lost a split decision to Edwin Rodriguez, majority decision to Jason Maloney, and he's fighting a 20-year-old with all 14 pro rounds of experience. He's only 4th in the money line. Another salt. Okay, write that down, boys. Barium's giving you free game. I do have Josh Kelly. I do have Brian Flores. I think I shared a June, July, or a July, August parlay. I'm going to here's what we got right now. This is we'll look at 2 books in Sydney, Australia. This is Sportsbet. Doesn't look like a lot, right? But this is tomorrow. I generally don't. Here's a double that I like with the fights that we're getting. I generally don't like playing a knockout prop that is priced so horribly. Max McIntyre, I think he's 10-0, 9 knockouts. What they're doing here in Australia is they're manufacturing McIntyre as a puncher, right? He went up against in his last fight. We saw him just maybe a month or so ago against a tough, I think, an Indian boxer who had never been stopped, and Max stopped him in the 8th round. Kind of a question. He was beating the brakes off of him. It took him a while to get going. The ref standing stoppage sort of thing. This is a 10-rounder. The Argentinian fighter Diego Ramirez is only 31 years old. Been in there with a much better competition. Has been stopped, I think, 4, 5, or 6 times. All of his times he had been stopped, 4th round after. And McIntyre is one of these guys. So I do like the stoppage. But we're going to pair that to get plus money. Obviously, a 20% return isn't worth the skin if you're going heavy. And these aren't heavy bets, by the way. This is half unit for me. So I like Max there. And then I like Maisie Rose's tape. I was watching her. Megan Redstall, she's the A side. This fight card is on DAZN. This fight goes down Monday, 6 a.m. in Australia. So Sunday night. I'm taking the A side here. I don't expect any power shots. I don't expect any knockdowns. I'm taking the A side here, but I'm taking her on points. I think, 65% return is good. She's not going to I think the idea that either one of these girls knock each other out is kind of a moot point. So then I'm going to up it by, a couple percentage points and take the points here. So this double pays plus 124. So there we go. We found a double prop parlay plus 124. If your books are offering it, I do have action on that double. I gave that to the insider. So if you're watching this live stream and you're not in our Discord, that's free game. I have a half unit on that. I have Max McIntyre, who fights tomorrow by knockout, on a parlay double with Megan Redstall on points plus 124. We're doubling our money. Now, I'm waiting to see if undercard. Here are the guys. The guys on the undercard that I'm waiting to see. All right. So this is the undercard tomorrow night in Australia. Suleiman Guichet. Suleiman Guichet he only has 1 fight, but if you follow his Instagram, we watched him fight in his last fight. Big dude for the division. He gets on the mic like he's a superstar, flashy striker, big puncher, wants to get you out of there. The rumors around the street are saying that Guichet's next in line is, the next sort of knockout artist star. He fights at 154 pounds, young, confident, arrogant. If I get him by knockout, if I get him on the books to play a knockout, I'm taking him. Solomon, this kid. You should remember him. You know, he went sort of micro viral in Australia with his last knockout. But he's already doing ads. They're already giving him promotional deals. He has a lot of sponsors already. He has one pro fight. So that kid, Solomon Gachet, and then Fred Ziwa. This kid's nice. Fred Z was 6-0, 6 knockouts. We've seen him fight before. He could punch, aggressive. If I get Fred Ziwa or Solomon Gachet on my books, I'm taking them both by knockout. If not, then we'll wait to see future fights. But this is another one. So Ziwa, keep an eye out on your books. And Gachet. It's another one on your book. Keep an eye out for those. We'll see if we get options. Tyler Blizzard's fighting. If I get Tyler Blizzard's a good boxer. Blizzard has one loss. He's coming off the loss to Sam Goodman. Tyler Blizzard can operate a fight, man. He can move around a ring. He went the distance with Sam. He's going to take from that decent record. Fighting in an 8-rounder. If I could get Tyler Blizzard on points, I'm taking it. So we'll just wait. We got about 36 hours for the fight. I'll keep you guys posted. This is the card tomorrow in Australia. Stan Sports will be streaming it. I think I saw something on the Wanderer Promotions. It's promoted by Wanderer Promotions. Shout out to my boy Ricky Calissimo. Ricky's a friend of mine, former Aussie boxer, had to cut his career short due to, I think, head injuries. Had a lot of craft in his game. And, he's taken on the role of trying to go head-to-head against No Limit Promotions. And they're putting on good cards. And my bad. This isn't. Shout out to Ricky runs Wanderer. Wanderer, their fight card is July 18th. I'm getting my fight cards confused. Ricky is the promoter for Wanderer. Wanderer Promotions. Their card goes down July 18th. This one is promoted by Trent Van Gallen. Either way, Tasman Fighters. Tasman Fighters is doing a good job too. So there's a few. We've had a monopoly in Australia for the last decade of promotional companies with No Limit basically having a stranglehold on fight cards due to their relationship with the zoos. And so it's good to see other promotional cards. Tasman Fighters, think about Jaya Pataya. Justice Huni came through there. Wanderer Promotions right now. Their fight card's happening a week before the Zoo Spence card. So those are the fights I'm looking forward to that we're getting on our books as of right now. I do expect to wake up tomorrow. In a perfect world, we'll get those fighters I talked about. Segal, Gachet, Ziwa, Tyler Blizzard. Only time will tell. I'm going to catch up to the chat now. Berlanga looks so bad lately. Yeah. Look, let's see what the knockout props are paying. All right, boys. Guys, I need you to also, if you're a JSB insider and you're in the Discord and you haven't re-upped your membership, I have a list. My moderator sent me a list. There's about, for being 540 there's 540 JSB insiders in our Discord. There's only about 15 of you, which is crazy number, that need to re-up your monthly subscription. I do that as an honor system. I don't put anyone on blast. I know who you are. Do that for me either on YouTube or Patreon. $5-6 a month. It really helps me out. It really allows me to continue to do this. I treat this like a full-time job. Obviously, the energy and effort I put into it. We got Berlanga by knockout. I mean, I ain't one here to gossip. You ain't hear that from me. But Berlanga by knockout at plus 108. When you look at the track record of Butler, when you read what Barry Unboxing just told you about Butler, his size, his record, when you see how Butler operates, when you see how Berlanga operates, plus money. I don't think the plus money by Berlanga by knockout will stay too long. I actually don't. I don't see this fight going the distance. Will the fight go the distance? No. Even the 60% return. If you I mean, that's a fun heavy bet. If you guys want to get, if you guys like the juice, if you have a big bankroll, that's a fun heavy bet. You get to watch two guys who pride themselves on knockouts. You get a 60% return on I'm talking a heavy bet. 1,000 will get you $600 back. And then you watch the fight and you just pray for chaos. For me, that's worth it rather than, the later the fight goes, obviously, but I get more stressed out when I pick fights to go the distance. I go heavier on knockout. Like that would be a bet I'd go heavier on. I like it. 60% return. And if your bankroll isn't that heavy, a 60% return is a great parlay piece. Will the fight go? Somebody's getting stopped. It's why the fight was made. And you pair that with something else. If you don't have the big bankroll, I like Berlanga by knockout. That's probably the play I'm going to go, plus 109. I haven't put it in yet. Corey Max by decision, King Green round 1. I'm getting Jesus. Let's go. You like Sandhagen to beat? I don't think Corey wins that fight though. Oh, he's fighting is he fighting my boy Bautista? Give me 1 second. Yeah, I don't think Sandhagen beats Bautista, by the way. Bautista's a whole dog. Brian Flores, Josh Kelly. I think 2 years, maybe 3 years ago, the version of Corey Sandhagen 3 years ago would have beat. I think this is what, like, UFC, because of matchmaking, their window of being in their prime championship run for fighters who either have fought for titles before and lost, or look like championship caliber fighters and never made it to a title, that run is so small. So over time, the longer you watch the sport, you could see, the fighters don't have to be retired for you to be able to see, hey, their run was here. Sandhagen's championship run was a few years ago. And this is why I also like Lonnie Kavanaugh to be Brandon Royval, because Royval's run was in that window when he first broke in, when he kind of came out of nowhere and he had this sort of element of surprise where all of a sudden he's in the top 5 rankings. Super awkward, throws his punches from wild angles, crazy scrambles, isn't that technical, and he was just finding ways to win, beat really good guys. And so nowadays, this version, you got Royval fighting Lonnie. I think Lonnie handles Royval based off of, Lonnie's youthfulness, his aggression, his strength, his all-around game. He's very technical. So I like Kavanaugh in that fight. And then Batista's just a grinder. Don't get it twisted. Corey's a dog as well. Long, awkward, never going to quit on himself. I just think Batista's style with, his pace, his volume, his aggression, his grappling. I really like Mario. Where he's trending, Mario is a guy, in my opinion, who is still fighting with that sort of championship chip on his shoulder. You could probably say the same thing about Corey. By now, a lot of people thought Sandhagen would have been a champion. So we'll see. Odds will drop for a heavyweight title fight sooner rather than later. Yeah, I'm not getting any odds for the heavyweights. What's up, Jay? How you doing? So that's the IBA fight card goes down Sunday in Australia, Saturday in America. I'm waiting for those odds to drop. There's actually, guys, a lot of action. There's a lot of action. The casuals won't admit it because they only recognize marquee names. The betting sharps like Julius, he knows what's up. And if anything, I think the first half of this week for me, I've done lives every day. I've been focusing on the shorts. But, it's kind of been good to kind of like chill out for a little bit. We've been pedal to the metal since January. 5-6 days a week, live streams every single day, tickets every single week, live streaming every single fight. So even though there's a lot of action, my focus this week, I haven't had to be as switched on Monday through Friday as I've needed to be probably the last 6 months. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of been a good thing. I was thinking about that last night. But there is a tide coming. There's a lot of big fights on the horizon, and there's a lot of action this weekend. What's up, PJ? PJ, man, so I follow PJ on Instagram. He's a Philly guy. He is a comic promoter. PJ, I'm waiting. When are you gonna start doing content about boxing? You're in a boxing town, bro. You're doing comedy in Philly, which is a great city. I went to college in Pittsburgh for a few years, and we'd go to Philly all the time. And it's a boxing city, bro. I've watched your knowledge of boxing, betting. PJ's one of our OG JSB insiders. When I first started the Discord in August, he was one of the first guys in there. And I've watched his knowledge of the game, his eye for film study, the questions that he asks, just exponentially get better, right? And we're all on our own journey of boxing knowledge. Wherever you are right now, if you're really a fan of the sport, imagine where your knowledge is now versus where it will be in a year. Do you know what I'm saying? And that knowledge, if you're into risking your hard-earned cash and betting on boxing, will only suit you in terms of how you win. So PJ, you're doing comedy, you're putting content out there. You need to figure out a way of how to mix boxing into it, boxing and gambling. That's what I would do if I was your, business coach. I think you're onto something. Max Patty, branded by Terrence. Bro, I love where your mind's at, Retro. So people like the Thai fighter. I don't think he wins, man. I don't think he beats. We'll bring it up. Barium and I were chatting in the Discord about this fight. Did you do tape, Julius? Well, Sutsumi fights this week. Like, look at. So I'm gonna have to go to Bet365. So guys, we have fights Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. There are fights every single day. Sumabong. I think so. This is a minimum weight title fight, and Sumabong is the A side. This is Filipino. Excuse me. I think Siao is he from Thailand? I watched the tape 2 days ago. I'm using Sumabong at 25% return on a triple. So I actually like Sumabong on the money line. So if you take Sumabong here, I don't want to log in. Okay. Sumabong at 25% money line. Wow, Bet365 is offering so many more fights. I also like, I told you I like Red Stall. So Sumabong, Red Stall. And Masuro. That pays plus 143. So Sumabong, Sumabong, Masuro, and Red Stall. That's a triple. If you have Bet365, that's plus money. I'm gonna make that live. I put that up in the Discord. I wanted to see how you boys felt about it. There's a little bit of chatter back and forth. Yeah, I think. Look who's live. Cody. Woo! More skilled striker, longer, awkward. I agree. I just think that Mario Batista, his determined sort of grappling style, and dude, Mario could strike too. Mario could punch. I think he's faster than Sandhagen. I think he's sharper than Sandhagen. It's a great fight. I think Batista did well against Umar from what he could. I believe he hurt him as well. Yeah, this is a great fight, guys. I'm coming from we can't read the future. Okay. So I'm not burying either side of the fence you're on. I like Mario in this fight over Corey. Luke Riley by knockout, Lonnie by knockout. Let's go. Parlay those up. You're getting last new generation going up against punching bags. There he is. Luke Riley's a fun guy to watch. I remember him in Cage Warriors. I remember Lonnie in Cage Warriors. Lonnie's a whole dog, dude. People like it's because Charles Johnson doesn't have a perfect record and Charles loses fights that he should win and wins fights that he should lose. Losing to Charles Johnson is not the end of the world. Only the world champion lost to Charles Johnson and he became a world champion, Josh. And Kavanaugh, if trends are right, you know what I'm saying? Like some people think Kavanaugh has what it takes to become a world champion. He definitely looks the part. Nakia Masan will be, yeah. So we've seen Nakia step up early to fight. It was Jai, right? He fought Jai. I think was it Jai when David fought that like short notice, and then Floyd Masan. I got action on Nakia, although he got stopped. Yeah, it was Jai. I was at that fight. I like the gritty show in that. He's a big boy too. Masan is kind of one of these guys who is prodding. Likes it dirty and ugly. Nakia, a little bit more tidier. Both could punch. That's a fun fight, man. Guys, could you please like the video? We finally got, up until we knew this week was going to be slow. I don't remember the last time our live streams were under 60, but this week has been slow. But we're back up. We got 51 in here now. Just like the video for me. Subscribe to the channel. Support the cause however you can. Become a JSB insider. Sharita Metcalf, Amanda Galley. Sharita Metcalf. I'm not betting on her. Chicken. I'm not betting on Sharita Metcalf. I got my reasons. God damn it, Sharita Metcalf. That's another one that ruined. I had a beautiful weekend going once. Sharita Metcalf was a 4-1 favorite. You win some, you lose some. Kai Kamaka, we've seen Kai have viral moments. We've seen have real success and then, get cut and then come back. It's an entertaining scrap. It's great matchmaking, Kamaka versus Riley. Kamaka was getting right. Kamaka's there to get hit. Kamaka wants, he thinks MMA is a little bit, who has the bigger dick contest on the feet. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're generally really doing when they're striking on their feet. Nothing's too technical. Everything's, swanging and banging sort of thing. And some guys, they cut their teeth that way. Luke Riley's good. I don't think I have action yet on that fight. I don't like Whitaker talking about not wanting to fight too much. Yeah, I mean, he has a young family, ultra successful. You've achieved everything in the sport. This is his third division. You guys remember, he broke through at 170 when he was on Smashes Australia. And there was a time where when he lost to Wonderboy Thompson at 170, he went on a long run when he moved up to 185. So he's probably, that has to be in the back of his head. Last time I moved up a division, I went on this long run and became a champion. So he was big, he was massive for 170. I think he was perfect size for 185 in terms of still being explosive and durable. Light heavyweight's a bit of a jump. Think about it. You know what I mean? You're weighing in at 185 versus you're weighing in at 205. Then you're dealing with guys who are, boiling themselves down to make 205 who are really heavyweights. So we'll see how he looks against Nakia. Kamaka was getting rocked and clipped in his last fight against a bum and was split. Hey, handsome. What's up, Blue Jay? How you doing? Thank you. For me, PJ will always be the puppet instead of the guy on the right, especially with his comments in the chat. It's PJ the puppet, brother. You just got look. We learned, like any great relationship, you have your rocky roads. And, you learn to appreciate the value that each person brings into your life. The live chatting during fights is insane, though. I agree with you. The live chats are crazy. Luke Riley only beat Bumzo, Bogdan Grad. I mean, we're moving the goalpost back. Michael Aswell. I mean, there's a time I wouldn't call these guys bums. Kai will make it a scrap. I agree. Damn. See, this is what I mean about the MMA chat versus the boxing chat collectively internationally. Is that boxing's way older. MMA is newer, 1993, and I think because of the online presence of fans, the style of fan in MMA and who Dana is, and it kind of creates this sort of narrative for the fan base to call fighters bums. I don't like that at all. You know what I mean? Like, to call a fighter a bum is insane. Especially a professional fighter who made it to the highest level. Even if he's like, who's my boy, Smiling Sam Alvey. Smiling Sam Alvey, boy. Even if you're a Smiling Sam Alvey cat, there's no way you could call any fighter a bum, man. A guy who devotes his entire life to the discipline of the craft, a guy who devotes his entire life and sacrifices to make it to the highest level in a combat sport. Even if they go 0-6, you call them a bum. That's insane. I think you're doing yourself a disservice. The person who calls a fighter a bum is doing themselves a disservice, because they are then projecting onto whoever they're speaking to their own insecurities. I'm not talking about you, double cards. I'm talking about the idea, because it's so normal. In MMA, read MMA chats, even in our Discord. Read our boxing chat, read our MMA chat during fights. The MMA chat is the Wild West. The memes are funnier, the shit talk's hilarious, the hate is insane. And boxing, it's much more manicured in terms of educated in a sense of professionalism. MMA chat is insane, dude, but I'm here for it. I'm not trying to govern or big brother the chat. It was just more of a, to call Kai Kamaka a bum's insane. And Diego Brando at one time was the man, dude. One of my favorite fights. One of my favorite fights was when Diego went to Dublin to fight Conor McGregor. Diego was on the cusp of a world title shot. Diego Brando was a real dog. Granted, it was like 11 years ago, and Conor had his, Dublin homecoming performance. We didn't come to take part. We came to take over. Dude, Diego Brando was a dog, dude. Don't sleep on Brando. Kiao's from Taiwan. He's getting starched. I agree. Do you think McKenna over Aaron McKenna or Tyron McKenna? Let me see. I think Aaron McKenna is a future world champion. Aaron McKenna is fighting. Aaron McKenna, easy. Aaron McKenna at 160, he'll be a champion in 2 years. I thought, you know what I mean? This is a fight for Aaron McKenna before he's either getting a title eliminator. Yeah, Aaron McKenna is a beast, man. Like, everything about the fighting McKenna is how he's done. He's done multiple fight camps. Aaron McKenna was first on my radar when I was watching Bomac do an interview maybe 5 years ago. Bomac was doing an interview on one of these YouTube channels, and he was talking about how they brought in Aaron McKenna to spar some of the boys, and he couldn't speak highly enough about McKenna. And then from every fight after that, I'm friends with Bomac on Facebook. I'd message Bomac about, what do you think here? And Bomac, Google, you can YouTube this. And then watching who Aaron McKenna became over the next 5 years. Obviously, I want him to be more active. We haven't seen him since his, performance of his career against Smith. But he's the goods, man. He's good. Yo, Johnny, who do you have Taiwan? Yeah. Everybody thinks Jermaine's live. I don't think Brown's live. I don't like that fight for him. I'm not overlooking it too much. I'm not putting it on too many parlays. I have that fight on one triple that I haven't shared yet with the boys. I'm taking Tawa. I went over it earlier. I'll make it public after this live stream. I mean, yeah, McKenna's beating him. Blue Jay. Thank you. Appreciate you. Stacked UFC World Cup boxing back-to-backs. We are blessed 100%. We have so much action. And guys, other than boxing and MMA betting, my biggest money maker throughout the year starts in about 2 months. American football, college football. So stay tuned. We have a college football channel. I'll be live streaming tomorrow night for the stand card. I'm gonna live stream for the UFC Conor McGregor card. It's just a good time. What's up, Neva? I used to live stream before I even had a following. I like breaking fights down. I have clients who come over, guys who I teach how to fight, watching fights with me, trying to learn fights. So I enjoy doing it. And Julius was on last week. If any of the insiders, any of you boys who are in our Discord who want to jump on during the fights, some of you guys are MMA guys, some of you are boxing guys, feel free to jump on. I'll send the link. What's up, Louie? No worries, man. Luke Riley, I don't think it's glazed. You're not the only one, man. In our Discord, I feel that people are all over Luke Riley by knockout. I'll show you what I mean. All right, guys. So this is a sort of behind the curtain look into our professional betting Discord. It's a community we started last August. And August will be 1 year. We have over hide from state. We have great moderators. There's no trolling. There's no casuals. You don't have to. There's no shit posting. Now, I never heard of Discord until you guys asked me to start this last year. So I don't know if this is normal. I'm not sure if all betting Discords are like ours. All I know is ours, and it's a very successful chat. We're sharing knowledge. We're sharing fight tape. We're sharing our picks, and it's the Wild West during a fight, though. So I warn you, to all the new ones, during an actual fight, we're doing round scoring. But if like we have that Errol Spence Jr. Tim Tszyu fight, thank God I'm going to be at the fights because this Discord is going to be chaos during that fight. All right, so you guys know Raleigh Teo's going on. We got shout out to Husky for the upcoming schedule, and then you soccer fans. So this is a film study. These are all the fights, Stern versus Stein, and our moderators create these tabs to where you could go in here and watch film of all these fighters. And all of this is $5 a month. And I want to see where the soccer's at. The World Cup chat has been popping off. The World Cup's going on. So anyway, it's much more than you getting my bets. It's a whole community. And we're approaching 550. And this is my favorite thing about our community is the Discord. YouTube and Discord. It's really growing. It's awesome. Boxing community way more respectful, but it arguably also got an older fan base, while MMA got a lot of young. Yeah. And I'm aware of that. I just feel that you know what it is, sent from pet? It's very noticeable. From having our Discord and then seeing how the boys talk, it's very noticeable. The difference in the boxing chat versus the MMA chat. But I'm here for both of them. You know what I'm saying? NBA. State of Origin was last night. New South Wales got up. Let's see where we are. McKenna's upcoming fight it's for the vacant. All right, see, I wasn't aware of that. Learn something every day. I've never once sat here and said I know everything. I did not know it's for the vacant IBF title. Shout out to Aaron McKenna. Shout out to the IBF. That's at 160. Was that the one that Alam Hunalay had? Is that because Janibek, he was forced to? Did he get stripped? Did he have the IBF? Because you had Adamas. Who are the champs at 60? You had Adamas. You had Alam Hunalay. You had Carlos. You had Erislandy Lara. Yeah. Okay. I should have known that. Shout out. Johnny, what's family man down shine? My guy, King of Fitness. You know I got the Maryland jersey. You know during that fight, I'm going to wear the Maryland jersey. I might throw the number 9 on, King of Fitness. I might throw the number 9 on. What if to the Errol Spence fight I wear your number 9 Maryland jersey? Look, man, I have to come from a betting perspective. And I've been getting cooked by the Errol Spence Jr. fans online, which is fine. I'm an actual Errol Spence Jr. fan, but when you're watching this tape and he's doing the up and under, you can just see everything. I don't like he's not blending his work. Give me 1 second, guys. I'll be back. Woo. All right. That got real serious. That got real serious. Does anyone here do saunas, dry saunas? So I built a dry sauna in my house, right? So I've been doing dry saunas and float tanks for like over a decade for recovery. Acupuncture as well, massage, etc. But I do the dry sauna 3-4 times a week. It's great for detoxification, meditation, etc. I was just in there for an hour before I went on, and bro, my left abdominal right here just started cramping, like seized up. I don't know if any of you guys have ever had an abdominal cramp. It fucking sucks. So I'm obviously dehydrated. If it definitely just happened. 2 things in life: Gabby Fandora knockouts, Terramona priced at $1. 100%. Terramona pricing's crazy right now. Terramona, right? Do you think EJ's gonna get belt to ass by Tim? Ah, man, I don't want it to happen. I think it's gonna happen. I don't want it to happen. I think it's gonna happen. 35, 36 years old, hasn't fought in 1,095 days, has never fought at 154. Last time we saw him, he got beat up against Bud in a brutal fight. We know about the car crashes. Since 2020, this will only be his 4th fight. I don't like how he's looking in his training videos. He looks slow and sluggish to me. Tim's much active. Like in their prime, it's not even a question. In their prime, Tim doesn't even belong in the same ring as Errol. Errol's best days for me was against like Cal Brook. My favorite fight of Errol was in 2018 when he went to Sheffield, England and beat the dog breaks off of Cal Brook. I just don't think with that style, and I talked about this before the Terence Crawford fight. Errol Spence's style itself doesn't age well. Whenever you have a marauding style, a front foot style, not a lot of head movement, takes a lot of shots, great body puncher, not very slick, not great feet, wants to literally break you down and break your will and be the bully in there, that style doesn't age well. That's a young man's style. Do you know what I'm saying? From a overall boxing perspective, stylistically, that's Errol's style. So when you look at that versus the damage that he has accrued outside of the ring, the lifestyle choices he made outside of the ring, which are well documented, and this is coming from a judgmental point. This has come from a strictly strategy betting perspective. All of that, it's really hard for me to see him traveling down to Australia and becoming the first guy to ever beat a zoo on Australia soil. Tim Costa Nikita, 54-0 in Australia. Tim is the A side on a no limit fight card in Sydney. If you guys know what that means, you'll know what I'm saying by that. The only way Errol wins is by knockout. His last knockout was Ugas in 2022. And by the way, that was the last time we saw him win, over 4 years ago. He's getting older. He's inactive. Hasn't looked good. Even in the Ugas fight, he was getting hit a lot. I'm getting Tim Tszyu at plus money. I got Tszyu at plus 185, dude. I think that's a steal. I do. I'm sorry. I think Tszyu at plus money is crazy. He needs a proper step up. Yeah. I think Rawley. You think Rawley's going to beat Teo? Look, from a fan perspective, I'm a Rawley fan. 2-division world champion. He's great for boxing. I don't know if anybody would have predicted that Rawley Romero would be a 2-division world champion, but he is. History will always say that. He's fun. He got power. I'm a fan. I'm a much bigger fan of Rawley Romero than Teo in terms of like personality-wise. It's not a shade on Teo. Teo, the more skilled guy, way more athletic. But Teo's style, even though they're different, Teofimolopez's style, even though it's different from Ennis's, that style doesn't age well because he's now relying on a lot of fast, twitchy movements, athleticism, intuitive movements. And you see guys who have that style in their primes, like 21, 20. Like Teo at 21, dude, that guy walks at 21. That guy was a joy to watch. Jesus Christ, he was good. Teo at 21 was insane. And he's not that old. What is Teo, 27? He's not even that old, 28. But, you get a little bit older with that style. You get a little more flat-footed. He's going up another weight class at 147. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility what Brand Collins saying here. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility Rawley gets Teo to fight his fight. Teo, they're friends. They have a history. We've seen videos of these guys when they were kids. He obliges. So Teo should be able to use his skills and his boxing acumen to use the ring and win rounds. We'll see. It's an interesting matchup. I'm glad that they're fighting. Appreciate you, Brand. Rawley is dangerous. Connor, the double champion too. Let's go, the double champ. Other than the Killer Gorilla in MMA and UFC, other than the Killer Gorilla, only one other fighter has knockouts in 3 divisions. You know who that is? Your boy, Conor McGregor. Shark stops Tim in 4. That would be crazy scenes. I'll be at the fight. I would be going crazy if that happens. I'll be getting cooked online if it happens because I haven't made my bet publicly yet, and I haven't done my stats don't lie breakdown, but I do have Tim at plus 185. The MMA chat is informative and chill. The boxing is where all the issues come from, overly fighting. MMA chat is the front of the class. Nice. I didn't know that. Okay. MMA chat, see? Depth, drop of knowledge, and boxing of the knuckleheads in the back of the room. We all have our own perspectives. We should get props for Terramona. Yep. Is Tim better than his brother? Way different. Way different. Tim has been fighting internationally for over half a decade. He went over to Minnesota to fight the very talented Olympian Terrell Gausha in when did he fight Gausha? 2022? Nikita's still on his rise. You know what I mean? You can't compare the two. I'm a big fan of Nikita Tszyu. Two totally different fighters. Everything from one's a southpaw, one's an orthodox. Tim is a marauder, wants to fight on his front foot. Nikita fights that way, and he has real power. But Nikita has, maybe a little bit more craft to him coming from that southpaw style. Both are willing to exchange. Both are willing to go out on their sword, on their shield. It's just that we got to wait until Nikita steps up. He's still at that stage where they're trying to get him step-up fights. I think Nikita has a real potential to becoming a star. He's super marketable. He's a different type of dude. And then you mix all of that, his uniqueness, his brand, with how he fights. I think that's really appeasing to, or really appealing to, the boxing community. And it'd be really interesting to take him internationally, put him in a fight with, at 154, him versus Charles Conwell. Conwell has a fight coming up. That's a fight. Like, I'm a fan. Cleveland, Ohio, stand up. It's good to see Charles Conwell back. We haven't seen Conwell since the Chino Rodriguez, the Chino Garcia fight. And Conwell, great amateur, Cleveland, Ohio. We just produce great boxers in Northeast Ohio. There's nothing else to do. Steel town, gritty American football boxing. Let's go. I, I'd like that. That's what I'm waiting for. We're going to see it in the next few years. We're going to see that step up by Nikita and his handlers. But is he better? His brother's a former world champion, man. You guys need to put some respect on Tim Tszyu's name. You know what I'm saying? This dude is a former world champion. No one will take that from him. And it wasn't that long ago where you didn't see the flaws. That style worked. And sometimes what happens isn't the fighter, it's the inability to not having a plan B. Tim Tszyu's style was created and developed around, let me be the bully. Not even the biggest guy at 54, but let me be the bully. I have punch resistance. I believe in my power. And it worked until it didn't work. And then the struggles have come in with him kind of searching for sort of answers to questions of, can you fight off the back foot? Do you have a plan B? What's your defense really like? What happens when you go against a bigger puncher than you? These sort of things. I think this matchup with Errol Spence is perfect for him. I think he stops Errol Spence. After training, I've been taking magnesium tablets and it's helped with my leg cramps and muscle health. I've been looking at, get it. Magnesium is a great supplement to take. We never get props for him, not until he has a real fight. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up. We're an hour and 12 minutes in. We got 56 of you guys in there. I'd expect to have 56 likes. We got fights coming up. We got tickets that are live. We got props that are live. We got a lot of action. JSB Insiders, the best community on YouTube. I'm a little bit biased, but you guys teach me a lot every day about the game, and hopefully it's vice versa. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We have 2 live streams tomorrow. I'm going to do about the normal live stream a little bit earlier, and then I'm doing a boxing only or a UFC only live stream at 1 p.m. Sydney time. I'll book it in and I'll send you guys the reminder. Make sure you guys are hitting the notifications that you get reminded. Let's do this.